You are listening to Contraband.
We're here with day one contraband camper Latasha Brown, and she is going to talk to us today about the "We Ain't Buying It" movement, what it is, what it's for, and how you can participate. So, first of all, instead of me explaining it, why don't you tell us exactly what the "We Ain't Buying It" campaign is?
Thank you, Brother Michael. I'm happy to be here. So we ain't buying it because we ain't buying it. Is a campaign. It's an economic action campaign. We ain't buying fascism. We ain't signed up for that. We ain't buying the loss of our rights. We're not buying this attacks on our communities. And what that means for us is that we're going to use every single tool available to us to actually push back and resist. And so part of it we know in terms of elections and the thing and our political power, but oftentimes we're not thinking about our economic power. And Black folk in this country, we've got $1.8 trillion, trillion with a T, in consumer buying power alone. And so if that is the case, then how are we leveraging and using our consumer power in such a way that we're going to back people off us that are actually trying to hurt and harm our communities? And so what we've seen is the acceleration of racism. We've seen the acceleration of the stripping of rights of our contracts, everything from 42 million people being impacted around these SNAP cuts to actually Black businesses losing contracts because now they're saying that our designations to be able, all of the certifications that we've gone through to get them women-owned and Black-owned businesses, that those things are null and void and that you got to go through another process. And we're seeing attacks on every single level of Black life. We're seeing an attack by this administration. And so who supports this administration? There are corporations that are standing. We see them over there kissing up at the White House. We see them at the dinner saying, "Oh, Your Highness, you are great." But guess how they get their money? They get their power. They get their money from us, from consumers. And so for this, what we're doing is we're launching a campaign. It's a 5-day campaign. So everybody ought to be able to do this, we ought to be able to actually leverage our spending in such a way that during the Thanksgiving break, which is November the 27th through December the 1st, we can actually have economic actions that will hold those corporations that capitulated to Trump to hold them account. But not even that. I think there's 3 kind of core reasons that I want people to understand about this campaign. You know, one piece is, yes, we want to use our economic leverage, our economic power to send a message strong and clear that we ain't buying it. We ain't buying none of this foolishness that's happening, and we ain't buying from people that don't stand that stand with those who try to hurt and harm us. The second thing, though, is that we've got to actually have some economic discipline. That part of what has happened is over the years, we have continued, even Thanksgiving. I don't know if you remember, Michael, do you remember on Thanksgiving where everything was shut down, that if you wanted to go get some cranberry sauce, you had to go to the local convenience store or the gas station? Now what we're seeing is in the afternoon, all of these stores, Target, all these other stores, they open up on Thanksgiving because now they're making Thanksgiving just like they've done with Christmas and all the other holidays. These have become a commercial piggy banks for them. That people are feeling good, they're with their families, and when you're feeling good, then you maybe just come and give me your money, come and give me your money. And so what we're saying is, no, we've got to actually pull away from that, because some of this consumerism and some of this attachment to capitalism has actually contributed to the very thing that we're fighting right now. And so what we can do is utilize our power in that weekend to send a message. And why that weekend? The significance of that weekend is 20 to 40% of annual sales for the entire year happen that weekend alone. It is that on Black Friday is the biggest shopping day of the year. That when you're looking at that Cyber Monday, on that Monday, that is the biggest, by far, largest spending day online than the rest of the year. And like I said, most businesses, even their quarter projections are impacted by that weekend alone. For some companies, for 6 months out. How well they do that weekend determines their projections going on for the year. So it's real important, we believe, to take the opportunity to use and leverage our power, just like the Democrats, they didn't hold the line. So those 8 didn't hold the line. What we saying is, okay, we gonna hold our wallets. Like my grandmother used to say, we holding our pocketbooks. we're going to hold our money. But there's a couple of things that we're asking people to do as we're thinking about it, because we also know that there's small-owned businesses, there's Black-owned businesses, small-owned businesses, and local businesses that also need that weekend. So we're asking people to do is we're asking you to reclaim this holiday for you and your family. So on Thursday, spend time. Don't spend a dime. On Thursday, spend time with your loved ones and your families. Love upon them. Talk about what's happening right now. But take time and spend time with your family and not spend any money. On that Friday and throughout the weekend, on Friday, we're calling it, where they call it a Black Friday, we call it's a Blackout Friday. We're going to show you how black it is. This is about to be a real Black Friday if we can actually come together and leverage our power and not spend. And Saturday and Sunday, we're saying that those are small business Saturday and Sunday, that you would direct your resources to small and local businesses. And on Monday, it ain't Cyber Monday, it's Cyber Shutdown. We are deleting apps, we are canceling subscriptions, and we ain't buying Amazon. And yes, I said the word Amazon. We ain't buying nothing from Amazon. And there are three big targets. We're asking people to actually be mindful about their spending, but there are three big targets. Target, one, there is a Black-led protest that is happening right now and a boycott that is going on that has been successful. And we want to take it up a notch, right? And we've got other organizations, over 50 national groups, white-led groups, Hispanic groups, members of the AAPI community, social justice communities that have joined us. So there are millions of people that we're actually seeking to reach out and ask them to participate in that boycott. The second is Home Depot. I don't know if folks have been seeing, but Home Depot has been giving information to ICE. They've been actually sending recordings. Now, here you got customers coming in your store, the very people that are patronizing your store. Now you're going to turn on them so you can snuggle up with this administration? No, we're not having that. We're not having that. And the best, even in their argument of how we've seen these egregious, like aggressive acts on people in their parking lots, they say, oh yeah, that's not our parking lot. Well, let's go set up a barbecue and see if that's a public parking lot or not. We know it's not. We know that they have control. That is their property. And this is just an excuse for them. And then the third is Amazon, right? Should I say more? That Amazon, in terms of the working conditions, but more importantly, they were one of the first to say, wait, oh no, DEI, no, we can't do DEI, so you can't stand for diversity and equity inclusion. We can't stand with you with our dollars. So guess what? We ain't buying it. So that is what our campaign is. And I'm hoping that people join us on this campaign, because we do have to build some muscle. We got to build some economic discipline. In this moment, we can't act like this is just a normal political moment, because it's not, right? We're seeing all of the gains that we have made politically in this country be wound, like we're seeing them being stripped away or being attacked. So we've got to use the power that we have. And we got political power and we've got economic power because we got choice. You can't make me spend my money with you. You can't make me take my dollars that I worked hard to support folks who are actually standing with folks trying to hurt and harm me.
And I'm so glad you framed it as leveraging our economic power, because one of the things that we talk about so often here on Contraband Camp is how every time you spend money, you're choosing to invest in that company, in that product, and into the policies that that company supports. And so oftentimes we consider a boycott or an exercise of our economic power as a punishment instead of as an investment. So it's not just withholding your dollar from a certain group, but deciding who you're going to invest the money that you earn with.
That's right. Right. And then, Michael, I think part of it too, and as I'm saying this to people, folks don't want to be lectured, right? People don't want to be lectured around what I do with my money. And I understand that, right? Because I like to shop like the next person, right? I might have a Amazon truck come to my house 2-3 times a week. So I understand. But in this moment where we are, we've got to really shift our mindset in the paradigm of how we're seeing this. We got to see our money as one of the forms of our leverage of our power. And our people have understood that. That's why there were people that even in the time, and you talk about it in your book, in the time where our folks were enslaved, that there were people that were actually had side gigs where they were making money to buy their folks out of freedom, right? That they were making money to buy themselves out of freedom. They were creating dollars in such a way, making money using the little leverage that they had to build schools, like to actually build how many schools and hospitals and associations are we building now? And I'm not raising that necessarily in judgment. I want us to like take a moment to step back. That part of what has happened is they have literally got us so deep into this consumer culture that we go and work the money, and everything around us is like America's a big commercial say, give me your money, give me your money. You need to feel better, so buy this. You need to look better, buy this. You need to be better, live here. And so this entire economic foundation is based on extraction. It was the extraction of our labor. It was the extraction of our intellectual property. It's been the extraction of our actual people, but it's also, it continues in a very interesting kind of subtle way now, is the extraction of our resources and our dollars. That all of our disposable income, for the most part, after you pay your bills, we giving it back to them. And many of in the bills, we already know they take the bills, right? So you taking the bill money, and then on top of that, whatever extra we have. So I'm hoping that with the We Ain't Buying It campaign, it's not just merely we looking at it as a way about punishing corporations. And it is a vehicle to hold folks accountable and get attention, absolutely. But for me, it's actually greater than this. It's really about raising consumer consciousness, right, for myself and for others, for us to think about how are we making our spending choices, for us to reclaim our power and reclaim our economics, our pocketbook, our wallets, our purses, to understand that how we use that actually sends a message. The second thing, too, is also to redirect our spending, which is part of why we're asking folks to take the time to find out, you got to buy some gifts. That's great. Buy some gifts, but buy from a Black-owned business or a local-owned business or folks in your communities that live with you, that when your child got a program, guess what? I had to go and ask them to buy an ad in my program book. When my kid is selling donuts or popcorn or what, all those things, those are the folks that actually support me, not Amazon. Those are the people that are supporting me, not Home Depot. And so we've got to find a way to actually be more methodical and intentional with our money and redirect it to support those businesses that support us. And then the third thing is resist. So I want folks to reclaim, redirect, and to resist. And part of the resistance is you've got to send a message. You cannot stand with my enemy, and I'm going to support and continue to support you. If they got all of this money to support and underwrite a golden gilded dining room, party palace for Trump, then I don't want my money being used that way. I don't want you to leverage my money. I would rather give my money to this sister down the street who is starting her business that is literally doing good for the communities. And then I'm happy that she's actually here, that it lifts up the boat for all of us. So I'm hoping folks understand that this We Ain't Buying It campaign is an opportunity for us to do a reset. We're going to reclaim, we're going to redirect, and we're going to resist.
Some of these savings on Cyber Monday and Black Friday aren't as lucrative or aren't as big as you would think. What they do is just mark up the average retail price and then lower it down to, a slight sale so that you think you're getting all of this value when you're actually paying, what you could have searched for on the internet and found at the same price somewhere else. So you're not really saving that much money. And the money that you do save, like 5, 6, 10%, is going to people who actually support your community and the causes that you believe in.
Well, actually, Michael, it's actually a benefit. Let me break it down to folks. Part of what happens particularly in terms of the action that we're doing for those 5 days, I'm not asking people after those 5 days just go out and spend money. That's not what I'm saying. But we're saying under no circumstances, if you're planning to spend, do not spend with them that week. Let me tell you why. Because you think they got some sales. What happens is they stock up on inventory, right? And if sales don't go the way that they think they're going to go, they're going to have no choice but to break them down. It's going to get cheaper and cheaper. The more we resist, it gets cheaper and cheaper, right? We're asking people to, under no circumstances, to try to refrain from buying that week. Many people, there are other campaigns that are going on that we are actually supporting, that saying, we ain't going, I ain't been in Target since the boycott was, and I have no interest in going into Target, right? If they're not going to do right by me, why I'm going to give you my money, right? And so some actions will continue to go on, and we support that. But part of what we wanted to do, at least, if we can't be disciplined in 5 days, how are we going to show up when it is required of us in a way that we're going to have to take it to the next level? Because they're getting more intense. We're seeing them now. We're seeing them sending ICE into Charlotte. We're seeing them sending folks down in Memphis. We're seeing, and it ain't by accident, there's an attack, particularly overwhelmingly on cities that are ran by Black mayors. That ain't lost on us, right? And so if we're seeing this kind of behavior, how are we going to respond? And so I want to hear them folks that always talk about, I would have been able to make it in slavery. You're doing exactly right now what you would have been doing in slavery. You're doing the same thing. If you ain't doing nothing now, you ain't doing nothing. You would have been doing nothing then. So I'm saying that at some point, that we have to really understand that something is required of us. That is not just about what other folks gonna do. Even when I'm hearing people oftentimes, Michael, say, what we need is, we need another Dr. King. We need a leader. I'm so frustrated by that. Let me tell you why I'm frustrated about it. Because I think it's a cop-out. I think it's a cop-out. Basically, what you're saying is, I don't want to change anything that I'm doing. I don't want to adjust. I don't want to sacrifice anything. I need somebody else to go out there to talk to them folks, to organize them folks, possibly lose everything that they have, including their lives, for me. Even though I cannot give up shopping from Amazon for 4 days, or I cannot go to Home Depot. Come on, y'all. At the end of the day, how dare you want somebody to sit and put their lives on the line? And many of us who are doing this work, it's real. We have to have security where our literal lives are on the line. Right, Michael? Like, people are attacking us. And so ultimately, we have got to actually show that we've got to start building this muscle of resistance. And it looks like different ways. It may look like voting one time. It may look like protest, but it absolutely, let me tell you something. People pay attention to that dollar bill.
We've been talking here at Contraband Camp about how political action and being involved with your government and your leadership is more than just about voting. It's a year-long process that includes holding the people and the corporations and the businesses in your community accountable for their actions. And this is one of the ways to do this. Every time you spend money, you are voting. Every time you decide, I don't want to go there because they make you wait in line too long, or their food be cold, or they don't season their french fries right, that's a protest. And this is just one of the ways that we can exercise our political and our economic power.
Just say, we ain't buying it, and don't buy it. We ain't buying it. So I want people to go online. Please go online and sign up. We actually have over 50 national organizations all across the country that have signed on. We're so excited that SEIU, with their 2 million members, they've signed and joined on. We have Indivisible, who did an amazing job. As you all know, they led the No Kings protest all around the country. We've got, it's Black led, but we have actually been able to expand our tent across the board, where we've got all across this country people like, if you upset, if you don't like the way things are going, then you need to send a message. We ain't buying it. And a weekend that we can do it, where it's concentrated, it's truncated, it can send the kind of message, because it's such a big retail weekend. It's Thanksgiving weekend, y'all. Spend time with your family. Don't spend a dime with folks that don't love you. Spend your time with the people that love you. And as you redirect your dollars, go and invest some of your resources in organizations that are doing work. If you don't want to buy anything, we support that. Support some of these frontline organizations. Go and support mutual aid. Take time with your family and go and do some things good in community. But reclaim your power. We don't need to actually support people that are aligning themselves with policies that hurt and harm us. You can't have my money. I have that.
And next year we might have some people, some volunteers who sit outside and tell people, "Hey, we see you going into Target." Just shaming people. No, but seriously, I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for letting people know how. And I want to. And next year we might have some people outside of Home Depot telling people what this is about. But we hope that our listeners, we hope that contraband campers share this, uh, tell their families, participate, and you might go to Home Depot and see me sitting outside saying, "Look, I see you out there." But thank you, Latasha, for all that you do, not just with this, but for teaching us and sharing our economic power. Thank you for teaching us and leading us and helping us organize and activate our economic and political and social power. So, because, at some point we do have to stand up and say, we ain't buying it.
Fridays, y'all. We ain't buying it. We ain't buying it. .com. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you so much.
You are listening to Contraband.